Let's get it. Okay. Let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? I really, really appreciate you. If you guys are catching this after the live stream, just let me know what you think. I'm going to try and put videos on it about it a little bit anyway. Let's mess with the volume.
I'm joined by two guests who have memorably locked horns on Uncensored before, the author of Rabbi Shmuley and the Young Turks host and creator Cenk Uygur. Two friends of the show, and hope we can keep this, at the very least, respectful. Are you prepared to watch the IDF kill in Rafah to avenge what happened on October the 7th? You're a rabbi.
Rabbi.
Hamas are Nazis with GoPros. Young Turks is essentially the Hitler Youth.
I don't like Hamas. I don't want Hamas to win. Hamas made us murder your children, made us murder your women. No, they didn't. You did that. Anti-Semite.
You don't know any history whatsoever. Cenk doesn't know basic facts.
Candace Owens' critique of Israel is perfectly legitimate.
She says that the First Lady of France has male genitalia and testicles and says as a man. She said that she would stake her whole reputation on that last week. Listen, stop your ad hominems. I want to ask one question, Pierce.
Rabbi, let him speak.
I have one question. Pierce,
Hey, he
why
won't
he answer
shut
the question?
up.
This is a catastrophe.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm never coming on with him again.
Come on, Cenk.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has again defied international criticism, warning an IDF offensive in Rafah is inevitable and will last for several weeks. Israel says that not invading the city of 1.5 million people, many of whom, of course, are refugees from elsewhere in Gaza, means admitting defeat to Hamas. Critics, including many of Israel's allies, fear it means many thousands more innocent lives will now be lost. To debate this, I'm joined by two guests who have memorably locked horns on Uncensored before. One of them has been on the sharp end of significant criticism lately, including from me. More on that later. But I'm joined now by the author of The Israel Warrior and Kosher Sex, Rabbi Shmuley, and the Young Turks host and creator, Cenk Uygur. Well, welcome to both of you. Cenk, let me ask you first of all, a lot of heat coming from America towards Benjamin Netanyahu, with Chuck Schumer basically implying that he should be replaced as leader in a new election as soon as possible. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's unprecedented. I think people need to understand what a giant deal this is. The leadership of either party, Democrats or Republicans, have never, ever broken with Israel. Chuck Schumer is one of the biggest supporters of Israel in the whole country. For him to come out and say enough is enough, you've got to turn around, you've got to call new elections, and Netanyahu is damaging Israel is an enormous moment in American-Israeli relations. And he's not alone. Thomas Friedman, also an enormous Israeli supporter, wrote an article in the New York Times saying that Israel is now radioactive. And so these are not enemies of Israel. And the same goes for me. Allies of Israel saying, please turn around, because this is not good for, look, I care deeply about the Palestinians. I'm not sure that the Schumers of the world or the Bidens of the world have ever shown that. But all of us care about Israel as well. And this is catastrophic for Israel's reputation. And you do not want Israel to be alone in the world again. 21,000 women and children have been slaughtered at a minimum. Now 1.1 million Palestinians are starving as we speak now. You must turn around. Otherwise, this is horrific, not just for those starving, innocent human beings, but also for Israel itself.
Rabbi Shmuley, I mean, you've been obviously extremely passionate in your support of what Israel's been doing in response to that terror attack on October the 7th. But attacking Rafah, which is a refugee camp right now, with 1.5 million people, the vast majority of whom are completely innocent people, many, many, many hundreds of thousands of women and children. This is going to be a catastrophe if Netanyahu goes ahead with attacking Rafah, isn't it?
The catastrophe for the Palestinian people is Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. If Israel does not destroy the last two military battalions who are encamped in Rafah, without whom there cannot be more terror attacks. We'll have peace in the Middle East. It's a catastrophe for the Palestinians, whose food was stolen for 18 years before this war by the leadership, Ismail Haniyeh, who's worth $7 billion. Where was the outrage of Cenk Uygur back then? How is it that these guys are flying around in private jets while the Palestinians were suffering for 18 years with no hope? This is not about caring about the Palestinians. It's about pure anti-Semitism. Let's look at March 14th, 2024, a date that will live in infamy in the annals of the United States Senate, where a Senate majority leader called for regime change of the only democracy in the Middle East. By the way, I want to congratulate Vladimir Putin, a real nail biter yesterday, where he only won by 90% of the vote. Schumer did not call for regime change in Russia. He didn't call for regime change. Bashar al-Assad, Israel's next-door neighbor, who killed 600,000 Arabs. He didn't call for regime change in Turkey. My friend Cenk was born in Turkey, where you have the Turkish tyrant Erdogan, who slaughters and imprisons journalists. He didn't call for regime change in Qatar.
So what does that tell you?
The
What does
biggest
that tell
funder
you?
of Hamas.
Okay, but Rabbi Shuli, what does that tell you about the strength of feeling in America amongst senior politicians about what its great ally Israel is currently doing? Their initial full-scale support.
It tells me that it's a fair question, Pierce. And by the way, thank you for having me on again. It tells me that President Biden, who's a good man, but he's 81 years old, has allowed.
Come on now, bro. You lost me when you said Biden's a good man. So how do you guys feel about the war right now? Me, I'm against it. I feel like nobody should go to war. Everybody should just leave people be and live how you live.
Out one city in the United States, Dearborn, Michigan. Michigan is the critical swing state, where you have a congresswoman named Rashida Tlaib, who is a dyed-in-the-wool anti-Semite, not anti-Israel, a Jew hater. He has allowed one city to dictate the presidential election. This is all about presidential politics, and Chuck Schumer allowed himself to be Joe Biden's court Jew. They needed a Jew to get on the Senate floor and say that the people of Israel will no longer be a democracy. To my friend Cenk, the last time we were on, I said to him, you withdrew your presidential campaign. I'm sorry that you were outpolled by even, SpongeBob SquarePants, but you went back from your presidential campaign. If you want, you could run as the chief information officer for Hamas, because you parrot their lies about Israel's being genocidal. But I will tell you one thing. How is it that people do not care one bit that the leadership of Hamas have stolen the future of the Palestinian people for 18 years, and only when Hamas is destroyed and removed.
All right, Rabbi Shuli, I think, look, a lot of people will share.
Everybody, can you guys please make sure to hit the like for me? It really helps out a lot. Also, how's everybody's night going?
More concern about what Hamas has done in those 18 years. They will also think that Netanyahu has basically admitted that he was perfectly happy with Hamas running Gaza because it separated the Palestinians from Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. But you haven't, in all that rant you've just unleashed about this, you haven't actually answered my question. And I will make it, personal to you. You're a rabbi. When you see a refugee camp, that is what it is. When you see a refugee camp with 1.5 million people, they've all been sent there and displaced there by Israel, by the bombardment in the north. When you see this, and you see Netanyahu saying, we're going to go in for several weeks, surely you don't think this is a good idea for Israel, that you're going to see the wholesale slaughter of innocent women and children?
Not at all.
It's a fair question. Again, Pierce, let me be clear.
And in all honesty, that's my take on it, for real. I don't want to see the innocent people, regardless of anything.
War is horrible. War is terrible. Israel has said that they will move those 1.5 million civilians, but war is always terrible. Has Netanyahu made mistakes, especially when he allowed Qatar to continue to give Hamas $1 billion a year. Yes, he did make those mistakes. I'm personally friendly with Netanyahu. I was critical of that decision at the time. I remain so. But let's be clear. Without 700,000 Americans dying in the Civil War, which is atrocious, we might have had slavery, God forbid. If we didn't destroy Nazi Germany, there was starvation in Berlin. Innocent, beautiful German children. They weren't Nazis. Those who were conscripted into the Hitler Youth. And by the way, Young Turks is essentially the Hitler Youth. I don't know why Cenk uses that name still. He's going back. They were the ones who perpetrated the Armenian genocide. These German children were not responsible. Japanese children were not responsible. Japanese children were not responsible. But without...
Yo, listen how Saudi Cenk gets, bro. It is so funny hearing him get mad, bro. It is hilarious.
Without destroying Hamas, there will be war for the next 100 years.
And let me just say that you've gone once again very ad hominem with the other guest when he hadn't on you.
I'm not going ad hominem. You cannot use a genocidal name for your podcast.
Let me go to Cenk.
I'm sorry.
Cenk, your response.
Yeah, look, Piers, I wasn't supposed to come on with this guy. I was supposed to come on with a different guest. I'm never coming on with him again. All he has is ad hominem. So you ask him about 21 to 25,000 women.
Are you really that afraid of me that every time you lose a debate, you say you're not going to come on?
Let him speak, please.
Come on, Cenk.
Let him speak.
Cenk, you ran for president.
Let him speak,
you won't
please,
even debate
Rabbi
people.
Shmuley.
Come on, you can't run.
Rabbi, let him speak. Cenk.
Okay, Rabbi Shmuley says he wants to murder more women and children and then calls us genocidal because we're trying to protect women and children both in Israel and in Palestine. You see me sticking up for Israel when Hamas attacks. You see me criticizing Hamas, saying they're terrible, I don't agree with them. You see me trying to protect innocent lives on both sides. Then this guy comes on. He says, kill more Palestinians. We killed, what, 700,000, he said, in another war. So are you going to go to 700,000 in Gaza?
The
Rabbi
Civil War,
Shmuley.
for God's sake. I wish you knew a little bit of American...
Rabbi Shmuley, who says murder, 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 murder. That's all this rabbi. Hey, okay, I've got to say one
Jews
more
are
thing.
murderers, Jews are killers.
No, shut up.
Pierce, can I ask this man one question? The man who ran for president.
Ask anything. All you ever do is lie.
Shut up and everything. Listen, stop your ad hominems. I want to ask one question, Pierce.
Everybody, can you guys please make sure to hit the like for me? It really does help out a lot. I appreciate it. How's your guys' night going? Nobody's talking.
Of my ad hominems.
If you care about the Palestinians, I have one question. Why don't you call, Cenk, for the unconditional surrender of Hamas today, the release of the hostages, and the war will be over? I am challenging you now to call for the unconditional surrender of Hamas.
And I'm not going to answer any of your stupid questions.
Will you do so or not?
No, I'm not entertaining this.
Pierce, why won't he answer the question?
Okay,
Pierce,
he won't shut up. No, there's no talking to this guy.
Let me check. Let me ask Cenk.
Does anybody else find this guy hilarious? Cenk is so funny, bro. He gets so triggered.
I want to play you a clip, Cenk, of Netanyahu at the weekend. This is what he said.
Okay, can I just, before you do, Piers?
Yeah.
Look, I hope that everybody in the audience understands that this guy isn't helping Israel at all. He's putting a very, very ugly face to Israel, and I hope that you don't make the mistake out in the audience of thinking that everyone in Israel,
I'm going to come.
God forbid, hold on, let me.
Yeah. Why did he just yell at Pierce like that?
Finish.
Yeah.
Or that anyone else that is Jewish thinks anything like your Rabbi Shmuley does. My Jewish friends are horrified by the death
do me a favor,
toll.
Cenk.
Rabbi doesn't care. The rabbi doesn't care at all. He's the most immoral man I have ever met in my life.
You cannot be...
Okay,
wait a second.
go
Wait
ahead.
a second. I asked a simple question.
Let Piers ask the question.
I would like to...
But first he tells Piers Morgan to shut up. Then he tells Rabbi Shmuley to shut up so Piers can talk. Bro, this is hilarious. I'm glad I didn't watch this yet because I wanted to watch this live.
Play what Netanyahu said and ask Cenk
Oh my
his
gosh,
reaction.
this is hilarious.
Here we are from Fox News.
When people tell us don't go into Rafah, that's like telling the Allies, listen, don't go into Berlin, leave a quarter of the Nazi army intact. You know, that's ridiculous. You know, if we leave a quarter of the Hamas fighting terrorist battalions in place, they'll regroup, reconquer Gaza, and in fact, perpetrate once again what they vowed to do, which is to repeat the October 7th massacre over and over and over again.
Cenk, your reaction to that?
Yeah, so this guy has been justifying the slaughter of Palestinians from day one. You have to understand something. In order for Israel to get peace, which should be the goal of its leaders and its citizens, and it is certainly of its citizens, but I don't know, definitely not its leaders at this point in time. You have to get the peace as you did with Egypt. With Egypt, there are no more bombs. You've had peace for over 40 years, and all of the doubters and all the right-wingers and all the warmongers told you, oh, Egypt will never listen. Egypt will keep trying to kill you. Egypt's going to try to kill all the Jews. But they didn't. The warmongers were lying to you, just like they're lying to you today. And why are they doing that? They're doing it because they want to remain in power. Netanyahu knows the minute that this war, and by the way, it's not just Netanyahu, it's also the leaders of Hamas. They should have taken a truce, a ceasefire earlier. They held it up on absurd grounds of not releasing the names of the hostages. So the leaders on both sides profit from this war. But the citizens of Israel are the only people who can change it. The way you get to peace is doing a peace deal. This endless war and the endless occupation is going to prevent you from having the safe haven for Jews that you have desired and deserved all of these years. For God's sake, turn around, not just for the Palestinians, but for the Israelis, so you could finally get the peace. If you do not free the Palestinians, look, I know there's PTSD from the Holocaust.
Pierce,
and right
I must
now,
be allowed
Israel's
to respond.
acting in a blind
moment,
rage.
Israel's
acting in a blind rage at this point. But the Palestinians are not Nazis. They're the Jews. They're the same as the Jews, victimized, horribly victimized. Wake up, Israel. Wake up. Please. Don't do the same thing that was done to you.
Pierce, I must respond. These emotional tirades of Cenk Uygur, who sadly, and I'm not saying this to be ad hominem, when we were last on, I
mean, listen, to be fair, his tirades he's been doing have been emotional as well. How do you guys feel about it? Nobody's talking. Can I get a couple likes at least? You know, we got 7 people in the chat. We need at least 1 or 2 likes.
Just read a Wikipedia
Well, his name
page.
is Cenk Uygur, for starters.
The Camp David Accords of 1979, which led to the peace with Egypt, was all predicated on a catastrophic military defeat by the Egyptians launched by Anwar Sadat on the 6th of October, 1973, Yom Kippur War, where Sadat thought he'd be victorious, and in the end, his Third Army was completely encircled. They were going to be destroyed, and then Sadat came to the conclusion, definitively, that the only way to proceed is through peace because militarism was destroyed. That's what led to peace. The same was true of World War II with Nazism. The same was true with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Terrible, terrible events. That with Japanese imperialism. There will be no peace until Hamas is destroyed militarily, and my Palestinian brothers and sisters, who are not genocidal, but Hamas is, Hamas are Nazis with GoPros. When militarism is destroyed completely, then the Palestinians
how many
will
people?
come
How many?
with a
all right.
real peace offer, knowing that arms do not work.
Okay, but one question.
Cenk Uygur, Cenk Uygur just said she never heard of the Civil War.
His name is Cenk Uygur, for starters. All right.
Why is Piers correcting him on how to say his name? Yo, I don't believe in this war stuff, man. I'm sorry. I'm not the type of person who really cares for war. I don't think it really solves anything. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, there's just other ways to do things nowadays, bro, especially in 2024, you know? I don't know. That's just me.
All right, so get his name right. My point to you, Rabbi Shmuley, is this. How many more...
By the way, I apologize for that. I'm sorry, Cenk.
How many more innocent people are you prepared to watch the IDF kill in Rafah in the next few weeks to avenge what happened on October the 7th? Because it is going to be...
Not one. I don't want one innocent
But there are going to be thousands more
as much as a Jewish child. But they will... If Hamas continues in power, the Palestinians will continue to be brutalized, LGBTQ Palestinians will be castrated. Young Palestinian teenagers will be murdered by their brothers or their cousins for just having a boyfriend at 16. They will die at Hamas's hand for the next 100 years if Israel does not
Why would you
destroy them.
expect?
Just
Okay, let me
like
ask you.
Assad, just like Assad killed 600,000 Arabs.
Why would you expect people in Gaza, after all this, not to want to exact bloody revenge for what is going on in their country? Because the IDF has you have spent months and months and months flatlining Gaza, and you're now about to attack a refugee camp with 1.5 million people in it. Why would you think that doing that is not actually going to present to Israel going forward a worse security threat? Because most independent analysts think it is.
Because my Palestinian brothers and sisters are as human as I, and they have the same ambitions for their children, for their future. They know that Hamas was elected to a 4-year term. They're in their 19th year term. They were supposed to share power with the Palestinian Authority. They took the Palestinian Authority officials, threw them off of rooftops and murdered them, and then took $150 billion in international aid and bought private jets for their leaders. They understand that ultimately, that's why even when you see the worst news outlets interviewing Palestinians, they say they're suffering, and they are, because of Hamas. But notice they almost...
Why does he have to do that? What's up, David? How you doing, bro? Why does he have to do that? He had to throw that in there like really quick because of Hamas.
Never criticize Israel because they know Hamas brought this war upon them. And I challenge Cenk one more time if he wants to respond, since he says he'll never debate me again, and I wouldn't if he was either, because he doesn't know basic information. Cenk, why do you not call right now for Hamas to surrender unconditionally? They provoked this war October 7th and release the hostages.
All right, well, let me... Okay.
Will you call for that now or not?
You know what? It's a legitimate question. Cenk, your response to that question.
Okay, yeah, but let's just be clear. I'm never going to go on with him again, not because he is a good debater. It's because he's a horrible debater. It's like talking to a ad hominem machine, just one insult after another, not attached to any reality or facts. Okay, now on Hamas. Guys, how many times do I have to say, I don't like Hamas. I don't want Hamas to win. I don't want Hamas to be in power. I want him to surrender. I want him to give all the hostages. That's so easy.
Well, that's a clear answer.
Hold on. That's a super clear answer. And do you know what created Hamas? The occupation. Because when you oppress people and you put them in an open-air prison and you take away all their rights and you make them subjugated to another set of people, then radicalism and extremism rises up. What did you think was going to rise up? Gandhi? Did you think that moderates were going to rise up when you put 5 million people in an open-air prison, bomb them whenever you like, and starve them whenever you like? Of course they're going to go to extremists who say revenge. And then there's constant
Hamas was democratically elected in 2006.
Let me answer a question.
Cenk doesn't know basic facts. They were democratically elected when Israel left.
I'm sorry. I feel like both sides are wrong, and we're wrong for funding
What am I going to do with this guy?
The problem with Cenk is Cenk
What am I going to do with this guy?
Rabbi Shmuley, let
Hmm.
Cenk finish the point he was making, then you can respond.
Yeah, look, so this constant excuse that the Israeli right wing has of Hamas made me do it. Oh, if it wasn't for Hamas, I wouldn't have to kill Palestinian children. Over 12,000 children now killed by Israel. By Israel, not Hamas. Over 21 to 25,000 women and children killed by Israel, not Hamas. And then they go, well, Hamas made us murder your children, made us murder your women. No, they didn't. You did that. You chose to do that. IDF has now killed 25 to 30 times the number of innocent people that Hamas did. So if you think that's terrorism, what Hamas did, and I do, and I've said it now clearly 200 times, then what Israel and IDF has done is 25 times the terrorism that Hamas has done. And that's a stone cold fact. Go ahead and make any excuses, any ad hominems you like, because every time you talk, Rabbi Shmuley, you make Israel look worse, not better. Go ahead.
Rabbi Shmuley, I would say that on
Piers,
that...
may I respond? Piers, may I respond?
Yes, you can. I'm going to make one point, which is...
Okay, thank you.
When you appeared last time, we did get a lot of people on the Israeli side, Jewish people, who said you don't reflect their opinions about this. I mean, are you aware that you're a polarizing figure amongst your own community?
Oh, I love the fact that we Jews are a democratic society, democratic community, and democratic Israel. I love it. I love when I get criticism. I learn more from my critics than I do from the people that like me. It's people like Cenk who support people like Erdogan in Turkey, who's a tyrant, who squashes all dissent, and there isn't one Arab democracy. I invite criticism. Piers, let's just be clear. My problem with Cenk is not personal. Cenk, if I said anything personal, please overlook my shortcomings. I will tell you something. My problem with you, Cenk, is that, respectfully, you don't know any history whatsoever. You didn't hear the Civil War. I've never debated an American who didn't know what the Civil that war 700.
Of course, I know what the Civil War is. That's an absurd thing to say.
Wait a moment. It's my turn. It's my turn.
He called Senator Schumer anti-Semitic earlier, by the way. Let's note that.
When Cenk says that the reason Hamas came to power was because of the occupation, the rank ignorance. Israel withdrew in 2005. There was a United States-sponsored election in 2006 in Gaza that was open and free. The Palestinian Authority, run by Mahmoud Abbas and Yasser Arafat, had just left the scene. They ran against Hamas. There was a power-sharing agreement, and Hamas murdered their fellow Palestinians and threw them off of roofs. They came to power through a democratic election that the United States insisted upon. There is no open-air concentration camp. And what you just said, that Israel killed 12,000 children and they killed them all, Hamas uses them as human shields. They are their bulletproof vests. This is a blood libel. This is rank anti-Semitism that we have suffered for 2,000 years. And Cenk, if you're too afraid to debate me, next time say no, or at least read a Wikipedia page, for God's sake.
Cenk, what I would say, just on that point about human shields, the Israeli military said today it's taken control of the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City. Troops came under fire from hospital buildings, 80 people detained, others killed, including Hamas terrorists. There seems little doubt that Hamas has used places like hospitals as a kind of collective human shield, does it?
No. Okay, that's absurd. So let me explain why. So, again, this guy, he claims he knows history, has a perverted, only one-side version of history. Earlier, he called Senator...
I thought I seen something about those photos and or those videos and that they were taken in the hospital. Something
Schumer
weird.
anti-Semitic. That's the most outrageous, absurd thing I've ever heard from the most senior Jewish leader in America.
I never said any such thing. That's invention.
Okay, you did. You could re-roll the tape. Okay.
Don't invent.
Okay.
Don't invent.
Okay.
I said that he was serving as Biden's court Jew. I never said he was an anti-Semite.
And
Don't put words in my mouth.
Shmuley's defense of every atrocity and war crime of Israel is anti-Semite. And you ruined it, Shmuley, because there are real anti-Semites out there, especially now, including Candace Owens, who attacked you unfairly, and I actually defended you, okay? But when you use it to justify...
See, man, all these words, bro, are just meant to play into your emotions, man. Ain't none of this stuff real.
The war...
Anti-Semite, racism, bigot. None of this stuff real, dude. It's all just meant to play in your emotions. There's right and wrong and good and evil in the world, and that's it.
Crimes.
The world's life is a lot more black and white than people think.
Of a government, you do more damage than you help. So please stop, okay? And that's why your own community is telling you, please stop. So you pretend like I'm some giant fan of the Turkish government or other governments, etc. But as a Turk, it's so easy for me to criticize the Turkish government.
Do you support Erdogan?
Because it has nothing to do with being Turkish.
Democracy.
So, okay,
will you condemn what Erdogan has done to the country of your birth?
He won't ever stop interfering. So let me answer Piers' question. So
neither do you.
They're attacking a hospital now, and I read it this morning. They've got snipers killing anyone that crosses a window. Well, how do you know if they're patients, doctors, hostages, or Hamas? Even if you think Hamas is in the hospital, which, by the way, the IDF has never proven that in any other hospital raid that they have done. Every one of their pieces of propaganda has turned out to be a lie, disproven every single time.
Did you just say hospital
even
rape?
If hold on,
Did
can
you just
let
say
me
rape?
Finish? Piers, I gotta go.
Did
this
you
guy
say
won't let
that
me finish
Jews
the
rape?
sentence.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to move to what you just alluded to, Cenk, which is this issue with Candace Owens. Because as you just said, to my surprise, you've actually supported the rabbi about this. I want to play a clip. This is Candace Owens, who has accused you, Rabbi Shmuley, of being unholy, partly because of the kosher sex empire that you are part of. Let's take a look.
There is just a very small ring of specific people who are using the fact that they are Jewish to shield themselves from any criticism. It's food for thought, right? And I think, again, there have been enough people that are speaking out about a ring in Hollywood, also a ring potentially in D.C., that we should start to ask those questions. All of us, Black, Spanish, Jewish, Chinese, Japanese, all Americans should want answers, because this appears to be something that is quite
Not the whites, though.
sinister.
So that was what she said generally about Hollywood being run by a Jewish gang. But then she said this
Except the whites, we don't count in there.
specifically about you.
What are you going to do next? You're going to kill me? Are you going to kill me because I refuse to kowtow to you, because I'm not fearful of you? And I think it's weird that you and your daughter are promoting and selling sex toys. That's why I deem you an unholy rabbi, because the industrialization of sex is harmful to our society everywhere. I don't care if you call it kosher sex. You're selling butt plugs on the internet. You gross me out. You disgust me. I am a better person than you, and I do not fear you, because as I said, you don't have.
Now, see, that's where she got me. No one's better than anybody.
Of the ability or the strength to fracture the relationships between me and the Jewish community.
Rabbi Shmuley, your response to that?
First of all, saying that I would fracture Candace Owens, who is the queen of American anti-Semites' relation with the Jewish community, she is being condemned.
She emphatically denies being anti-Semitic.
Well, one second. She can deny that. Let's just go through it. She defended Kanye West's love of Hitler repeatedly. She says that Israel is guilty of a genocide, just like Cenk Uygur. You know, by the way...
Think about it like this, David, right? They play into that word racism on all ends, right? A black person hears it, they get triggered and automatically get mad. Oh, you're a racist, blah, blah, blah. A white person hears it, they automatically think, oh, I don't want them to think that I'm a racist. Where me, I don't care. I've been called everything in the book. I could care less. It does not matter to me.
Cenk, you and I should have a beer sometime. Maybe you'll understand why Jews are so
Get his name right. His name is Cenk Uygur. I told you 3 times now.
Yo, he keeps doing it.
I'm sorry, Cenk Uygur. I apologize. We should have a beer sometime. Because we Jews are tired of the lies that we're murderers. I'm killing Candace Owens. And by the way, I've noticed something very interesting, not with Cenk, but with Mohammed Hijab, who I debated on your show, and now with Candace Owens. They have an obsession with Jewish sex. It's a perverted obsession. First of all, she says that the First Lady of France has
Can you guys make sure to hit the like for me really quick? It really helps out.
Male genitalia and testicles, and says as a man. She said that she would stake her whole reputation on that last week. But it's the Jews. I'm a child of divorce. The big problem of marriage today is not novelty items that might bring passion back to a monogamous relationship so it's no longer monotonous. The big problem with marriage is adultery. It's husbands who are addicted to porn. It's people like Candace Owens who sex shame people who want to have an erotic, passionate marriage. And the fact that Candace Owens is calling Jews in Hollywood murderers who are running a sex ring, which she said, in order to blackmail black artists and get them having sex with children so that they can blackmail them and shake them down with pedophilia. Listen, she's having a psychotic breakdown in public, and it's tragic. But why does her psychotic breakdown have to come out in the form of a blood libel against Jews, that Jews are murderers? Why doesn't she hate Mennonites? Why doesn't she hate Mormons?
All right,
Why doesn't she hate Buddhists?
Let me ask, look, given the Cenk, you raised Candace Owens before I did, what is your view of this?
Yeah, this...
Like, you want to know one thing that we're not taught, David? So, you know, slavery was... There were also black slave owners in America. I never knew that till like within the past 4 or 5 years. And then I started learning about it. And then I believe also the reason that in America that there was the first lifelong slave was because a black slave owner didn't want to lose his other black slave. So he sued him and won. It is crazy.
It's actually a very important topic because unlike Candace Owens and Rabbi Shmuley, I make a giant, and I hope everybody does,
Public schools are a joke.
A giant distinction between the right-wing government of Israel and Jews across the world. Those are two very, very different things. So if you criticize Israel, Shmuley will say you're anti-Semitic. And if you say, hey, they have killed over 12,000 children, which is just a fact, it's a literal fact that the whole world agrees on, he will say it's blood libel. But that's
It's
the
not a
government.
fact.
We have
It's
to be able
not
to
a fact.
criticize the
Name
government.
one source.
Hold on.
Name
I'm
one
about
source.
to defend you.
Name one
finish,
source
please.
that isn't Hamas. It's not a fact.
He's actually about
It's
to
not a
defend you, I
fact.
think.
You can't
So
just blood
let
libel the Jews.
Cenk speak.
There is not one source that says that except for Hamas.
Let him speak.
No, he said the whole world. I want to know one source. Is it
Let
the
him
New York
speak.
Times? Is it Newsweek? Is it Time? Who said the Jews killed 12,000 Jews, children in Hamas, in Gaza? Name one source.
Literally every news organization. Literally every news organization
Name one. Since
in
it's
the
every,
world.
name one.
New York
Name
Times,
one.
CNN, human rights groups, United Nations, every
That
single
is a
organization
complete
says.
lie. The New York Times said they are quoting
Okay, all
Hamas
right.
figures. You are lying to your teeth.
Yeah. Okay,
they never said it. Quote the date.
No,
Quote the
okay,
date.
I know.
He said every
The
news
defense
source you can't
secretary,
name
the
one.
US
Actually, for the record, multiple respectable news agencies around the world and news organizations have all said that the number of children killed in Gaza is at least as many as 10,000, probably 12,000. It may be more.
Quoting Hamas figures or quoting independently verified?
Quoting the
Here we
Hamas-run
go.
Palestinian
Hamas
Health
one. Yes, I know.
Authority.
Okay, so quoting Hamas. So at least say that.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But they are
Hamas
accepted,
says
they are
the Jews
accepted
killed-
by
okay.
independent organizations. Anyway, Cenk, you were about to say
No,
something about the
nobody
Candace.
accepts Hamas figures.
I would like to ask Cenk
Respectfully,
about
nobody
the
accepts
Candace
Hamas
Owens
figures.
thing. Cenk.
Okay, so Candace Owens' critique of Israel is perfectly legitimate, although I hate to say that about anything Candace Owens says. But when she turns to the other topic and she starts talking about a ring of Jews inside America that control the media or politics, that is as anti-Semitic as it gets. That is anti-Semitic
Without a
trope
doubt, bro.
101,
It is what it is.
right? There's no
You know, I just look at life now as people can believe what they want. I'm not here to tell anybody how to believe or how to think. You either see the truth or you don't.
excuse for it. It's not remotely true. And by the way, you have to be a moron to believe things like that.
And on the
So,
specific
I mean,
point, Cenk, about the her saying that Rabbi Shmuley is unholy because of the kosher sex empire, what do you think of that?
Oh, I couldn't care less about that. I don't care if he's holy or unholy or what he does with his sex toys. I don't care at all. That is not at all germane to the topic. What is germane is do not attack Jews because of the government's actions in
Right.
Israel. Do not make assumptions about them. That is insanity and it is totally wrong.
Okay.
At the same time, you don't get to hide behind, well, Israel's a Jewish state, so we can kill anyone we like. No, that is terrible for the Jews. Don't do that.
Cenk,
And don't-
do you
hang on,
really
hang on,
think
hang
that we
on. I
Jews
want to
want to
be-
kill anyone we want?
Okay, I want to be
Do
joined
we
now.
want to kill? Cenk,
we're
do you
actually
really,
going to
Cenk,
hang on,
Cenk,
Rabbi
we're being a bit
Shmuley.
more reasonable here.
Rabbi Shmuley, you're going to like this because we're going to be joined by another member of your family, your daughter Chana, who runs kosher sex
Anyway,
in
but
Jerusalem.
Cenk, thank you for saying that. Can
Is
I
George-
just thank Cenk for saying that? Thank you for saying that, Cenk.
Yeah, he was being supportive.
But
actually.
we Jews don't want to kill everybody, by the way.
But we're being joined now by Chana, who is your daughter. Chana, thank God we've got you to calm things down here. You run the
I think it's time for
kosher
our
sex.
sex
No,
tour.
what is
you
he,
run kosher sex.
What is Jason Q about? Does he do like reaction videos or does he make his own?
in Jerusalem. The allegation from Candace Owens is that your father is unholy for being associated with this business. Your response?
My response is, first of all, Candace Owens, I don't take anything she says seriously. She'll say anything for attention. She knows nothing about Judaism and she knows nothing about sex, clearly. In Judaism, sex is the holiest act that two people can engage in, especially within the confines of marriage. And that's what we set out to do with Kosher Sex. This was a book that my dad wrote 25 years ago, and he wrote it to enhance marriage and to make it exciting and to use Jewish wisdom to keep couples connected.
I don't care. That's your daughter. That's freaking weird, bro.
And I took those ideas 25 years later because sex had only taken more of a hit. Like my dad said, endless porn addiction, infidelity. People have lost the ability to connect. And the worst part is, in my opinion, is the rates of loneliness. I think that people are desperately, very tragically lonely these days. And to be shamed for wanting to connect with your spouse when you're married for 20 years and want to keep it hot and want to keep it sexy, Judaism is all about that.
What are your biggest
Very
selling?
holy.
What are your biggest selling product lines?
Okay. I have to check them out. Maybe
Well,
we'll check
getting
them out
into
after this.
the biggest selling product. Well, Candace actually, I mean, it's funny. She supports and defends Andrew Tate, who is
can we
who
get
just
some
got
likes
arrested
going,
again
guys?
for sex trafficking. But she called these oils that I just came out with, these beautiful arousal lubricants that are made in Israel in the Holy Land that are specifically meant to be used between couples to enhance.
But like, bro, the thing is, you're doing this business with your father. It's weird. That's what she said. I kind of agree with that. It's pretty weird, bro. There's just certain things, especially father-daughter. I don't know.
The sexual experience to make it more exciting, to make sex more pleasurable, last longer. And she called me, my dad, and these products filth. One word to millions of people, filth. So, well, I forgot the question. What did you want?
Well, no, you answered the question. That's obviously one of your biggest selling lines. But Rabbi Shmuley...
Just making sure I'm asking the question. I don't want to get... Yeah.
Rabbi Shmuley, just finally, I mean, do you think there is something unholy about this, or is sex the ultimate example of good holiness?
I'll definitely check them
I
out.
think that sex is the ultimate form of validation because it makes you feel desirable. It makes you feel that even when you don't have the accoutrements of Gucci or fancy clothing, that your very body, your essence is desirable. And the greatest, the tragedy of marriage today is the loss of erotic desire. It's where husbands and wives become best friends and they're no longer lovers. The average American marriage has sex 7 minutes a week, I kid you not, which includes the time the husband spends begging. 7 minutes of sex is not going to be enough for you to feel that you are more than the mother of children, but you're actually still a woman. But notice that medieval Christianity really thought that sex was only procreative and that sex is only to have babies. And she's always talking about that. But anyone who actually wants to feel that sex is fulfilling, that your erotic needs are catered to by your wife, by your husband, so you don't have to go to Pornhub or anything like that. We are weaning people off of that, and we're saving marriages.
Final question on this.
Final thing to all the
all right, I was going to ask you, how much money do you make from this?
Well, you know, not enough. The kosher sex book sold very well.
You know, obviously, you run it. Chana, how much money do you make?
No,
so
my daughter knows.
This is actually my company.
Chana, how much do we make on kosher sex? I got 9 kids, so I got to...
Rabbi Shmuley, you could interrupt Cenk and me. You can't interrupt your own daughter.
To help people...
Okay, I apologize.
Chana, how much money do you make?
Can I leave?
Yeah. You want me to tell you how much money I make?
Yes, from the sex stuff.
I mean, everybody wants to know how much money Donald Trump makes. Why not?
I mean, I make a living, thank God.
Well, millions, or what are we talking here?
God willing. No, we're not in the millions yet. We're not in the millions yet. God willing.
No, I can say clearly. I don't make anything from it. Zero, nothing.
Okay.
And Chana is building the company.
Finally, Cenk.
It needs to grow, and this is great exposure. Thank you.
Okay, Cenk, we've talked a lot of controversial stuff and had a vigorous debate, as always, but can we end on a point of agreement here? Do you...
I think what Piers was getting at there is like, hey, if it's really like what you're saying it's for, maybe don't make that much money on it, you know, lower the prices to where you're just making literally enough money to live on, or maybe you have to get another job. I think that's what Piers is trying to get at, if that's your motive.
See anything in the kosher sex business it aligns to your world values?
I couldn't care less. I'm just mainly looking forward to leaving now. So, no, I don't care about this topic at all. I don't care what he does with his dildos. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Dildos? Where did dildos
sex
come up?
Holy and hot.
Where did dildos? Did someone say dildos?
I don't know. I don't care.
Like, you see this?
That sounds like hell to me, right? Holy and hot. You shouldn't say that.
I don't know what you do.
Well, why did you bring it up? Wait, Cenk, I just praised you for being one of those rare people who accuse Jews of genocide.
Can I please leave?
Who aren't
I
in the
don't
Jewish
know what
bedroom,
sex toys
and you bring
sell.
up Jewish dildos?
Okay, we are going to...
I don't know what sex toys you sell.
Oh my God.
We are going to release Cenk now.
Why are you
Cenk,
bringing
thank you
up
very
sex?
much
You know,
indeed.
this is the thing.
He wants to be...
Well, you know, I got to...
We've got to leave it
Can I
there.
answer my question to Cenk? Can I answer the question to Cenk?
Guys,
Cenk?
we've got to go. I'm sorry.
Let's have a beer sometime.
We've run out of time. Let's all have a beer and talk about...
Let's have a beer sometime. Jews are not murderers.
Holy sex,
Make
lubricants
love,
and
not war.
dildos.
God bless
Why
you.
not? Can I thank my panel? Cenk, thank you, as always, very much. Chana, thank you for joining us from Jerusalem. Rabbi Shmuley, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate it.
Oh, that was funny. Let's, hold on. Let's do this. YouTube. Let's see. I don't want to go there. Did you guys see that? Where was it? Yeah, Candace Owens got fired by the Daily Wire. I think she might have, maybe on X. Yeah, I don't want to watch it. I watched her on Breakfast Club. I wasn't too impressed. She got fired and it's already asked for donation. It's so funny. Actually, yeah, I watched her and then like I wasn't impressed because like I don't know, it was just weird. We were watching this the last time about Kim Clement. Clement, was that you that told me about that, David? I think. Oh, check this out. Here, look, my video,
One
my
of the
clip,
biggest sales ever.
my clip got featured on this video. I'll show you guys. Right there. Look with my hat on.
That was a
Watch.
close fight.
Well done.
Look.
Two of them.
Oh, I just knocked that dude out the air. My Trump hat on. You guys proud of me? I seen where was it? Let's see.
Well, some extraordinary breaking news tonight from Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who, in a very personal video, has revealed that she is having treatment now for cancer. We don't know what type of cancer, but she says that at the start of the year she had this abdominal surgery that we know about, and that in the process of that, they discovered that she had had some form of cancer. They found cancerous cells. And she's now embarking on chemotherapy, which she couldn't do until she'd recovered from the initial abdominal surgery. She made a very personal statement in which she was very open, very frank, very courageous and very dignified, I thought. Also paid great tribute to her husband, Prince William.
Is God in a Nutshell on YouTube? We could watch that. I just wanted to hang out with you guys. I don't know. I figured I wasn't doing nothing. I figured I'd maybe make this a thing, like a Friday night stream or something till like 10:30, 11. Let's see. All right. God and was which one should we watch? Yeah, see, these are a little.
My name is Trey Smith.
These are a little bit long. Is there something? Yeah, let's watch I like that Kim Clement guy. He's pretty cool. I remember we watched one of his videos. Let's watch. So he did a prophecy for 2027.
All over the earth, God.
Okay. We'll watch that another time. That way we can watch it. Maybe we'll watch. Maybe we'll watch that next week, and that way we can watch it in full.
Caught up to a place where David was by himself. Maybe that's where you are. A lonely place, a bitter place. Hated by thousands, tens of thousands, loved by few, but most importantly, by God. Knowing that He was the only source of strength. He's sick, he's sought after. That one thing that every man is honored to ask for. The sacred filling of the soul, the Holy One. David lifted up his hands, lifted up his heart, and cried, "My soul seeks you, searches for you in a dry and a thirsty land." I'm caught up there where he stood, and suddenly the wind began to blow, and he said, "My heart is steadfast, my heart is fixed. I will sing praise. Yes, I will praise you." And he lifted up his hands and his heart, began to worship the Lord. Suddenly that dry and thirsty land was no longer dry and thirsty, but that consequence of the sacred filling of the soul, where the celestial light came to him as it comes to you right now. And suddenly darkness no longer seems an issue, because that one celestial ray brings light way beyond what we've ever seen. And the fire, suddenly the fire which comes with that Spirit has set his consecrated nature on a blaze. You sense his Spirit right now all over the world watching. Don't hold back. Close your eyes, lift your hands, and Holy Spirit, I pray, fill them right now. Fill them, Lord, right now. Beautiful. It's happening to you right now. As I said before, you can never overestimate the consequences of that sacred filling of the soul. Presently, right now, there is light, there is fire, and there is rain, there is water, heavenly dew that removes famine and fertilizes our lives is present right now. Suddenly there is no such a thing as past, present, or future. We are beyond the veil of limitation.
Pretty crazy.
Beautiful. Suddenly David is surrounded by the celestial. He's no longer thirsty. He's no longer afraid. He is standing face to face with the Word. And says these words, "I'm alone, but yet I'm not. Living inside of me is a fire that is consuming me."
So everybody in the chat, so I know David, obviously you show me these things, so obviously you're religious. Everybody else in the chat, where are you guys at on religion? Like, how do you feel about religion, you know, and being in government and stuff like that? Where do you guys stand with everything? Just out of curiosity.
I am the King of Zion. Though my enemies come against me, I will praise him. Now I behave as a king and lift my hands. I live according to my destiny. I live according to the future that is present within me. Now, Lord, I pray for every man and woman all over the world. They know there is a living destiny inside of them. Ignite it, Lord, and let the faith of the future take over their present. I thank you for that.
I like this. I really like his stuff. Let me see something. I'm gonna mess around and get my hand. God, man. I literally push it. Alright, we're just gonna leave TikTok because that's annoying me. AOC immediately regretted this. Let's see what this has to do.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. So here we go again with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, far-left progressive superstar, progressive squad member trailblazer, ushering in a new era of leftism, supposedly representing a leftist counterculture. You know, the last thing we'd expect from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is for her to become the biggest Biden crime family shill on the planet. I mean, she's always going on and on about political corruption and the 1% or the rich, politically connected elite. You know, you just wouldn't expect her to be the Democrat face, defending establishment legacy political families. But of course, that's exactly what AOC is doing. AOC, the young progressive mind, strikes again, this time during the Tony Bobulinski hearing, and as per usual, AOC...
Actually, let's just watch that, guys. I don't know if I can get in trouble for watching his stuff. I seen that, though. Let's see. See, I can't stand how Midas Touch makes it look. Bro, this chick, before we get into it, this chick literally said the RICO Act is not a crime. I do not understand what is wrong with these liberals, bro. It makes zero sense to me. These people are freaking delusional. I think we might have to watch it in parts. Let me find it. Damn. 4 was a lot. So it's sometime yesterday. Dude, she's so weird. What the hell? How many videos do they upload a day? Well, let's watch this because he talks to. Well, they gotta chill out with the commercials.
Without objection, so ordered. Now the chair recognizes Mr. Gates from Florida.
You're a serious business person, Mr. Bobulinski, right?
I am.
Unlike the convicted felon next to you, you've served in the military, right?
Correct.
You've done big deals.
Correct.
Complicated deals. Deals that involved foreign businesses, right?
Correct.
And so what I'm trying to figure out is when you came to realize that you showed up at the wrong party. Because you kind of strike me as a guy who showed up to do a legitimate business deal, and you ended up instead at a bribe. And so as you're looking at CEFC, as you're having this meeting with Joe Biden, as Hunter Biden is introducing you to his web of contacts, when did you go from serious businessman Tony Bobulinski working to make a buck in a capitalist system to a guy worried that you been unwittingly ensnared into Hunter and Joe Biden's bribe operation with the Chinese Communist Party?
I appreciate the question. It wasn't an aha moment. It was more of a process. I am a serious businessman, demonstrated by the different deals I've done around the world and the success of them. But it started, remember, the Biden family wasn't my entry into this. James Gilliar, who I'd known for over 10 years, who traveled the world doing business, kept trying to get me involved. I really had no interest. I sat down in the spring of 2017 to walk through things, and then I quickly put together 2 businesses, Sinohawk and Oneida. After the meetings in Los Angeles with Hunter and Joe Biden, it started to sort of, bells and whistles started to go off when Jim Biden used the term plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability is the first moment, straight from the lips of Jim Biden, right on the heels of your discussion with Joe Biden, where you start to think, this might not be legit.
Correct. And my lawyers at the time could attest to that because I reached out to them saying, listen, I'm a former naval officer. I held a Q security clearance. I couldn't collect. Somebody couldn't take me to dinner for $50. This just does not make sense to me.
But you proceed. But you proceed, and
Appreciate
then
the likes,
later this thing
everybody.
starts
How you
to
guys
get a
all
lot
doing tonight?
uglier. What's the moment you go from, okay, your spidey senses are up, you're analyzing this, to now you know this is a crime that you are bearing witness to?
The end of July, when the Biden family put them right front and center in the middle of a $9 billion transaction between the Russian state-owned energy company Rosneft and CFC, a surrogate for the Chinese Communist Party.
And was there ever a time in
Now Chinese satanic Jews can't leave anyone alone. They are connected to evil. That's definitely, you're right to think that. I don't look into things too much, honestly, because for me, we have enough problems in America to where we need to deal with American problems. You know what I mean? But you never know.
the deals you were involved in where you started to see the money move around the legitimate business enterprise and toward the pockets of the Bidens?
Well, the challenge, Mr. Gates, with that is at the time they moved the money, right? You guys have the text messages where Hunter Biden shook down Director Zhang, but I was not aware of that. I spent a year asking questions of, this doesn't make sense to me, where's the money? I stepped in and had lawyers work to dissolve the two entities. I didn't know till years later that they had defrauded me, they had gotten paid all this money, and all this craziness. The amount of facts—
it just seems pretty simple. This is either a bribe or a business.
It was a bribe from the Chinese Communist Party. And I don't say that lightly. There's 1,200 pages, 8 days of testimony in the Southern District of New York.
This dude is literally saying this on live television, bro. Like,
I encourage everyone watching me, hearing me say this, they're publicly available. Go read them. Our Department of Justice outlines in intimate detail the corruption and bribes that CFC was deploying to political officials all over the world.
It wasn't
so
just in
I'm
the
here
United
to
States.
believe that they did this in every other country, but with the Biden family, it was pristine. It was an actual clean business. That's absurd.
And you came to know that, and that's when you blew the whistle, right? That's when you started to get worried when you saw Joe Biden.
I stepped away from it. There's the whistleblowers. I can't give them kudos enough for the bravery and the risk they put their family in. They publish stuff where I am voicing the concern of the Rosneft deal.
And you animated your concerns when you saw that this wasn't just a corrupt bribe, a corrupt business deal happening to a guy who used to be vice president. When you see that everyone's made a big deal like you're a bad guy, that you showed up at the debate, or you're trying to give life to these facts that you've observed.
bro, imagine this, right? Joe Biden and Trump debates, right? And Trump's like, well, hey, I got it. Somebody I got to tag in really quick. And here comes Tony Bobolinsky.
That it's so bad
bro,
that you did
that'd
that
be
during a
so
political
hilarious.
contest. But observing this, it kind of seems like it would be unpatriotic for you to stay quiet.
Of course.
And so, I mean, Joe Biden running for president clearly motivated the Chinese to consummate this bribe. Did it also motivate you?
Well, I didn't want to go public. I wanted to simply unload all the facts, personal experiences. It's funny, there's 18 people on this committee with law degrees, including, I think, Mr. Swalwell.
General
Evidence,
Milley's a
firsthand testimony is the most powerful evidence you have.
Am I allowed to
I've
say
given
that?
it. Mr.
I don't even know if
Galanis
I'm
has
allowed to
given
say
it,
words like that on
along
YouTube.
with a whole host of other witnesses. Then, on top of that, I have thousands of documents and pages of legals and stuff like that.
That's what's
I
interesting,
wanted to
Mr.
simply
Bobolinsky.
give this information.
Yeah, but that's
Congressmen
the
and
thing.
senators.
No
and
one
let them do
questioned
their
any of your
job.
facts. No one brought a single piece of evidence that even for a moment discredited any of the truthful testimony that you've given us.
No,
I see
they
my
did
time's
not.
expired. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.
I
That concludes our.
I don't care what anybody says. I love the way Matt Gaetz grills people the way, in the proper way. Let's go find those AOC ones. I don't know why it took me all the way back up when I went backwards. And did you guys see that Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to get Mike Johnson out, man? Like, I mean, yeah, I get it, but I don't. I don't get it. And I don't understand the TikTok ban either. Great content. Keep it going. Glad you. Yo, I really appreciate you, Matt. I really, really appreciate you. Hold on. I want to see this AOC one. I don't know why they don't like. They put out so many videos. I don't think we should be sending money to Israel either. I don't think we should be sending money to Ukraine. I don't think any of that. All right, we're back to 2 days ago. You would think AOC would be on like one of the thumbnails. Let's do this. Let's go here.
Wouldn't it be better if a leather holster...
Get that? Dude, somebody took their like away? That's not cool.
Mr. Babolinsky, I
appreciated you regardless.
I heard your opening statement. It's submitted to the record, part of our proceedings. I have a quick question. Simple. Is it your testimony today that you personally witnessed President Joe Biden commit a crime?
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a business
Did you
deal,
witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime do you have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple. You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption
No,
statutes, RICO and...
David, never shut up, bro. We're in a bed all the Republic versus... Yeah, that's true. I don't... Hold on. Just said direct recruiter called the United States. I'm going to have to look that up. Let's look that up. I want to see what you're talking about. Which one is it that he said that on? Yeah, David, you'll never shut up, bro. What's wrong with you? Is it is it this one, David?
Thank you, Chairman McCall and Ranking Member Meeks and members of the committee, and thank you for your efforts and what you're doing. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here with General...
Or, David, if you have the link to it, put it up.
General McKenzie, and my purpose here today is to help you form a holistic assessment of our efforts in Afghanistan. But most importantly, I'm personally here today, voluntarily, to help the families of the fallen, the 13 fallen at Abbey Gate, and the thousands of fallen and tens of thousands of wounded and countless other members who suffered the invisible wounds of war, to help them get answers. I'm humbled to be here today with 3 Gold Star families from Abbey Gate, and I know the other families couldn't make it, but I intend to contact them in the coming weeks. They know my feelings for them. They know that there are no words by me or any general or any politician or anyone that can ever bring back their fallen.
Here's one thing.
Us can, and all of us must, honor their sacrifice to protect our country and to be forever grateful that they answered the call to the colors. Each of them paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect our country and to be...
Wait, I can refresh it, sorry.
Fallen. But all of us can, and all of us must, honor their sacrifice to protect our country and to be forever grateful that they answered the call to the colors. Each of them paid the ultimate sacrifice on the altar of freedom, like so many before them, in order to keep our nation safe and we owe them answers. And I am committed to assist in the effort to get them answers. But we should also not be under any illusion. We're not going to get all the answers here today. It's a process that's going to take a considerable length of time. And we must also recognize that much of the record, in fact, is classified and beyond the scope of this open hearing. So over 2 decades, between 2001 and 2021, about 800,000 of us in uniform in the United States military served in Afghanistan, and thousands of others from many agencies in our government. Of those, 2,461 soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines gave their lives. Almost 30,000 more were wounded in action, and countless others suffered those invisible wounds. And that includes the 13 from Abbey Gate. We must always honor all of their sacrifice, each of them, over 2 decades of fighting the Taliban, bringing Osama bin Laden to justice, and ultimately protecting the American homeland. We lost over 200 U.S. and international troops and many more wounded in action in units that were under my direct command in several tours and multiple years of combat in both Iraq and Afghanistan. And every commander who's ever served in combat knows that we personally issued the orders that gave the task, the purpose, the place, and the time of that soldier's death or wounds. And we also know it was the enemy that killed or wounded them. Combat's an unforgiving environment, and those of us who have served in the brutality of ground combat live with that dark reality every day and every night. And we'll live with that for the rest of the days of our lives. There's no military leader who's lost troops in combat who does not know that feeling. So this is personal to me, and I will do everything in my power to ensure that these families and all of our veterans and families know the truth and have the answers.
Without a doubt.
At the peak of our military commitment in 2011, the United States had just over 100,000, or just under 100,000 troops and about 20,000 DoD contractors. That same year, the United States began to steadily draw down troops, close bases, and retrograde equipment. Nothing we're going to discuss today happened overnight. It was a process of withdrawal that spanned a decade. The outcome in Afghanistan was the cumulative effect of many decisions over many years of war. And like any complex phenomena, there's no single causal factor.
You know what they say, war, what is it good for?
Factor that determine the outcome.
Nothing.
But multiple factors in combination. In the fall of 2020, as I previously testified publicly, my analysis, my personal analysis, was that an accelerated withdrawal would likely lead to the general collapse of the Afghan security forces and the Afghan government, resulting in a large-scale civil war reminiscent of the 1990s or a complete Taliban takeover. In November 2020, DoD received orders from the White House to reduce troop levels to 2,500 by January 15, 21. When the current administration took office in January 21, there were roughly speaking 2,500 U.S. troops on the ground with about 22,000 NATO troops and contractors. Beginning in February 21, the National Security Council conducted a 10-week interagency review of the Doha Agreement, and various options were presented and debated.
Never underestimate.
Sorry, I don't want to get copyright strike, you guys.
Public testimony, I noted that at that time, my analysis, based on my assessment and the recommendations of the commanders, to include General McKenzie, and the consensus of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was that we needed to maintain a minimum force of 2,500 troops on the ground, mostly special forces, with allied troops and contractors, in order to sustain the Afghan National Security Forces and its government until the diplomatic conditions of the Doha Agreement were met. Without this support, it was my view at the time that it was only a matter of when, not if, the Afghan government would collapse and the Taliban would take control. Again, I previously publicly testified, and I consistently supported a negotiated end to the war, but only if there was a reduction in violence leading to a permanent ceasefire, and there were Afghan-to-Afghan negotiations leading to a power-sharing agreement between the Afghan government and the Taliban. And it was my view that absent those conditions, I was not in favor of a unilateral withdrawal of U.S. forces because of my assessment of the associated costs and risks. The fundamental tension facing the president, in fact, 2 presidents, was that no one could satisfactorily explain when or even if those conditions would ever be met. And if we stayed indefinitely, an open war would likely begin with the Taliban again, with increased risk of additional casualties. On 14 April 21, President Biden made the formal announcement of his decision to honor the Doha Agreement.
Yeah, this dude's a joke. I'm going to find what you're saying, though, here soon, David, and I'll watch it, whether it's off stream or on. That dude's a joke, though. I can't stand him. I legit cannot believe that this chick said this, bro.
The government's plan.
I didn't. Did you try sending a clip? I didn't see anything.
Donald Trump to appeal his ruling that let DA Fani Willis stay on the 2020 election interference case. The attorney exposing Fani Willis and Nathan Wade's affair made the case for disqualification yesterday on this show.
I definitely think she could be disqualified. We've got this new commission in Georgia that's hopefully looking into this, and they could disqualify her. There's a lot of other avenues that the judge even outlined in his order. Lots of other people are looking at this. She's facing re-election. She's got 2 opponents right now. So there's a lot of other checks and balances that are in place. Plus, more information can come forward, and we are continuing to investigate.
Let's get into our own investigation with more information from Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett. Good morning to you, Greg.
Good morning, Steve.
Okay, so the judge yesterday said that the Trump team can go ahead and appeal his decision. And his decision was a couple of Fridays ago.
Like, what did they think? That he wasn't going to be allowed to at least appeal it?
He said, okay.
Oh, yeah, you just got to pay $500 million, buddy. Sorry.
One of the two of you, Wade or Willis, is going to have to go. And ultimately, Mr. Wade said, I'm going to step away from it. So what do you think the chances are the same judge is going to say, oh, you're right, she should be disqualified?
Well, I think the judge said in his ruling that Trump's due process rights are important enough for a higher court review. I suspect Judge McAfee also realized the frailty of his half decision. And he found both Willis and Wade engaged in the same wrongful conduct, and they did it together, but only one of them was forced to leave. That doesn't remedy the appearance of impropriety that the judge said infects the prosecution team. And between the two of them, it should have been Willis who got kicked off the case, because as the DA and his boss, she had a greater ethical duty.
Right. Now, some of the charges involving Mr. Trump down in Georgia.
I'm sorry, guys. It's so sad. I'm going to try and not pause it. It is so sad that she was allowed to stay on this case. It doesn't make sense. Like they said, she was his boss. She should have got in trouble, not him.
Georgia.
They both should have, but if he does, she should too.
Are RICO related. I'm sure you saw this exchange yesterday between AOC and Tony Bobolinsky. Listen to this.
What is the crime, sir?
You
specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is the
It's a category of crimes.
Is she a durr?
Okay, let's turn to you. Is RICO not a crime?
It's absolutely a crime. 18 U.S.C. 1961 through 68. She might try bothering to read it. But, you know, this comment by AOC just added to the growing list of stupefying remarks by her. This one truly mind-boggling. The very word racketeering in its acronym conjures up serious criminality. But, this is a pattern with AOC. Whenever she opens her mouth, she tends to embarrass herself with a fundamental lack of knowledge.
Oh, my gosh.
One final question about Georgia. The governor there, Brian Kemp, it sounds like a couple of days ago,
I'm sorry, this lady is like, what? RICO is not a crime? Are you serious right now? Okay. Go look at Tekashi 6ix9ine and ask him if RICO is a crime. It's not.
He signed a law that lets a state commission begin operating with powers to discipline and remove prosecutors. So ultimately, I guess, and Ashley Merchant was on talking about that yesterday. She's the woman we played the soundbite with a moment ago. If they do decide to change the law, would that apply to the Trump case?
Oh, it absolutely would apply to it. This is a governor who's duty-bound to see that Georgia laws are faithfully executed. That includes prosecutions that abide by legal and ethical standards. He's publicly expressed his concern that Willis's behavior is making the case look more and more political, which is the opposite of a neutral, objective prosecution. And of course, having signed that new law, I think he's leaving this in the hands of the new state commission to discipline and remove rogue prosecutors like Fontaine.
All right, Greg Jarrett, thank you very much.
I'm going to open a bar just to hire AOC so I could fire her. Let's see right here. When is this from?
Every lunch.
Hours ago.
To do better. I remember Chairman Cummings constantly reminding us that we can be better.
Gentlelady's time's expired. Before I recognize Representative Fry, for what purpose does Representative McClain seek recognition?
I'd like to enter something in the record. My friends on the other side of the aisle are desperately trying to deflect from the Biden family peddling scheme by attacking President Trump and his family.
5 minutes?
I would like to enter into the record an article. Actually, Jared Kushner and Hunter Biden are nothing alike, and here are the facts. Thank you.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair now recognizes Representative Fry.
Come on, man. Like, this is what is wrong with our government, bro. Like, seriously, this is wrong. It's all about emotion. It's all about get back. It's like, bro, it's not about what's right for the American people, bro. And this is pathetic, dude. I don't care who's Republican, who's Democrat, bro. Like, do what's right, bro. And unfortunately, it's just Democratic Party is just such a brainwash, you know what I mean? And then you got rhino Republicans that side with the brainwash, and it's like, bro, who's for the people anymore?
For 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the inconsistencies that I have kind of seen is what is on a text message, Mr. Bobulinski, with Raymond Zhao, and what Hunter Biden testified to in his own deposition. And so this is infamous. We've talked about this a lot. Z, please have the director call me. Not James, not you, or Jim. Have him call me tonight. I am sitting here with my father. We've talked about this a lot. We've kind of got ad nauseum to it. And in response, Raymond Zhao says, copy, I will call you on WhatsApp. So in Hunter Biden's testimony on page 105,
unfortunately, brother,
he states that the Zhao that he sent this to was not the Zhao that was connected to CEFC. What do you say about that, Mr. Bobulinski?
Well, I think what he's simply saying is he made a mistake. Not that he meant to send that text message, because it's crystal clear that that message was meant for Raymond Zhao, who was the interpreter for Director Cenk at CFC. But I think he tried to obfuscate in his testimony that technically maybe he made a mistake and texted it to the wrong person. I can't speak to whether then he corrected that, but I do know, based on the communications, that he got on the phone with Raymond Zhao and set the record straight and exactly went through what he thought he was sending him in that message, because it's followed up where they say, they sort of snap to and say, we'll cooperate with the family. Why were they willing to cooperate with the family? Because effectively they were bribing the Biden family to help get them to help them with the 4 unsealed indictments in the SDNY, which is the only thing that mattered to CFC.
And Raymond Zhao, you said he was an interpreter, but he was a little bit more than that, too.
He was like a chief of staff interpreter. Yeah.
Correct. So he was kind of the handler for the CEFC business.
Yeah, he spoke good English. Director Cenk spoke very little English.
Right. So to the extent that this was the wrong Zhao, I mean, I'm no rocket scientist, but if I get a text message and it's somebody that it's a different Russell, I'm going to say, you've got the wrong guy, correct?
Yeah, I believe Henry Zhao probably, his argument is he sent it to Henry Zhao. I'm assuming there's a text message somewhere where either Henry Zhao responded, hey, I think you meant that for somebody else.
Instead, we just see, copy that. I'll call you on WhatsApp, right? Right. So if you were perplexed as to why you received a random text message that wasn't applied to
Well, that's actually Raymond Zhao
right?
saying, I'll call you on
That's what I'm
WhatsApp.
saying.
Yeah.
So the purpose, the issue that he brings up, though, is that he was confused and it was the wrong Zhao. I want to ask you a couple more questions real quick. Hunter Biden's transcript on page 42, he said, I officially began to work for CEFC when I received a retainer from CEFC in early or spring of 2017. Is that true?
Well, it goes back to the word official. He's parsing words. Hunter Biden started working for CFC in the fall of 2015 and worked for CFC throughout 2016. That was confirmed to me by him, by James Gillier, by Rob Walker, numerous face-to-face conversations on it,
right,
numerous meetings.
So this is not true. On page 48 of his transcript, Hunter is asked, he's never interacted with any of your business associates. Is that correct?
Okay.
The he's referring
Maybe we'll watch that next Friday.
to is Joe Biden. Is that true?
That's a lie?
Hunter lied to the committee about important details concerning his money demands and threats to CEFC based on this WhatsApp message right here. On page 105 of his testimony, Hunter states, quote, my father had no awareness of the business I was doing. Is that true?
That's a lie?
You also talked about how Jim Biden also lied extensively throughout his own testimony, and that Jim was selling plausible deniability for many years so that he could not tell the truth from a lie. On page 100 of Jim Biden's transcript, Jim is asked, do you recall having a meeting with Hunter Biden and Tony Bobulinski and Joe Biden? Jim's response was absolutely not. Jim states that Joe Biden never met with Tony Bobulinski. Is that true?
That is a lie, and I'm shocked that his lawyer sitting next to him, a former U.S. attorney, allowed him to say that lie 3 different times in that transcribed interview.
Right. When pressed, he continued to double down on that.
He got excited. His lawyer had to calm him down, and he continued to lie about it.
On page 124 of the transcript, Jim Biden states, quote, it was Hunter Biden, myself, Gilliar, I don't know. It was the 5, okay, and everybody was 20% okay. You know what? It was never executed. It was never signed. And he's referring, of course, to the contract or the agreement. Is that true?
That's a lie. He fully executed the legal document, Oneida Holdings LLC, as did Hunter, James Gilliar, Rob Walker, and myself.
Thank you for your testimony today.
Thank you.
Yours has been the consistent.
I mean, come on, guys. We all know it's all corrupt as hell. If you don't think it is, it's like, I don't know.
A Georgia judge now allowing Donald Trump to appeal his
I don't know what
ruling
to
that
tell you.
let DA Fani.
I don't know what to tell you if you don't think it's corrupt. Let's see what CNN has to say lately. Be quiet. Let's take it. Let's see what.
If you're struggling with getting.
Let's see what this Cheney has to say. Okay. I don't want. I love to watch CNN.
Thank you very much.
Because CNN always melts down, dude. It's so funny.
Lawyers for former President Trump say he's unable to post the $450 million bond in the New York fraud case. Conservative radio host Mark Levin pitched a novel form of crowdfunding to help Trump. He posed this question on X. It says, quote, why are there no Republican multi-billionaires offering to lend President Trump the funds to file his appeal in the outrageous case in New York State? Are none of them liquid enough to help or join with others to help? This is an outrage. Are you outraged?
Well, I'm not a billionaire, so I guess I'm not outraged.
No, but are you outraged that no billionaires have stepped up to help Donald Trump this way?
I'm not particularly outraged that no billionaires have stepped up to help President Trump on this. I think there's amongst Republicans, I think there's outrage at the number of cases that have been brought. I think there's outrage, frankly, in the public when you look at how many cases are we up to now? 5, 6. I mean, it seems like
6 if you include Jean Carroll.
A little bit of piling on, and I think there's some outrage with Republicans and independents and other Americans about what looks to be a bit of a witch hunt. But no, I'm not.
Who is this guy, bro? A little bit of a witch hunt? A little bit? This is an extreme witch hunt. They're literally trying to take this man for everything and throw him in prison for the rest of his life. What do you mean a little bit of a witch hunt? This dude is delusional. These people are crazy, you guys. I'm telling you.
I'm sure I'm outraged that billionaires aren't stepping up to help.
So, Kate, Trump has dismantled and rebuilt the Republican National Committee. He's gutted the leadership, much of the staff. He's handpicked the new chair, Michael Whatley, former Republican chair of North Carolina, I believe, and the co-chair is, of course, his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. They're going to run the RNC. Yesterday, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney wrote on X, quote, "Is it just a coincidence that Donald Trump took over the RNC, fired most of its Republican staff, and installed his daughter-in-law as co-chair? At the same time, he's become desperate for money and can't post bond. Donors better
beat it. She knows what it is.
Beware."
She's just a hater.
And yet, we should also know Democrats do have a substantial.
Here's what we say about Liz Cheney.
Dummy. Yeah.
Substantial fundraising advantage as of right now.
Yeah, they do. And the newly installed leadership of the RNC is talking openly about raising money for Donald Trump's defense. I mean, sort of to Mike's point, I mean, this is an argument that they make to Republican voters. This is something that with the Republican base is apparently compelling. The idea that Donald Trump is, somehow Donald Trump being in legal trouble indicates that he's a fighter for them. This is not an argument that is persuasive to general election voters. And I think if you're the Trump campaign and you're looking at the financial advantage that the Biden campaign has right now, which is quite significant, and you're seeing that some of this money is going to go to Trump's legal defense fund, I mean, that's not an effective use of dollars if you're trying to win a presidential campaign. So, again, just once again, a reminder that for Donald Trump, this entire effort of running for president is really about him, his own personal.
Let's look something up really quick. So his bond is $464 million, right? Let's go to Google. You guys see this, right? You guys see that? Candace's net worth is $5 million. Her husband's net worth. But she needs help, right? Look at this, bro. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. $2.6 billion, right? And this is in 2024. $2.6 billion, right? $464 million. Oh, are these people serious right now?
And not about the people that he's claiming to want to get elected to represent.
You can understand how a donor might balk at wanting to give money to the RNC when, I mean, normally obviously the RNC would use that money for all sorts of campaigns theoretically and party building enterprises.
Yes, no. I mean, look, this is this happens sooner than it usually does, but this is the normal course of business. Mitt Romney, who I don't think anyone is going to say is part of the Trump base or a Trump Republican, when he was the nominee in 2012, he brought in his people to work with the RNC. Now that it generally happens closer to conventions because we don't have a presidential nominee.
Mitt Romney is a rhino.
Right, but he wasn't in court.
He wasn't raising money for his legal defense.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not talking about the taking over. I'm talking about people might be concerned.
People, I would hear what you're having to say, but they've brought in adults.
Yo, somebody should clip that for me, right? And tweet that or whatever it is on X. And that's me fact checking CNN Live.
It's like Sean Carencross to help run the organization. Chris LaCivita, who's running the Trump campaign in a very professional way, much more professional, frankly, than in 2016. These folks understand what the importance is of the RNC. It is message. It is ground troops, and it is pulling together all of the units of their communications tools to get out there.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Look, the money to go to the legal defense. I highly doubt that is where RNC money is going to go. That is what we have super PACs for, right?
I just want to play this sound. This is what Peter Navarro said before he reported to prison to start his 4-month jail sentence for contempt of Congress.
I would gather strength from this. Donald John Trump is the nominee for the Republican presidential campaign.
Now, he's in jail or prison now.
Well, why did they not let him finish? They just cut him off. What he said, Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. Is this real? Like, did nobody just see that? What is going on? This is why nobody believes these weirdos.
But he's not the first person associated with Trump to go to prison. Paul Manafort, who spent close to 2 years of a 7.5-year sentence in prison for bank and tax fraud and illegal foreign lobbying before he was pardoned by Trump. CNN is reporting that Trump's team is in discussions with him to help with the RNC convention.
I mean, you know, we talk about people are tired of Trump. They're tired. They're like fatigued. And you got him bringing back in people who were central to his 2016 campaign. Paul Manafort is somebody who was, I believe, charged. You can correct me if that's not right, but I believe charged with passing information to the Russians. I mean, this is somebody who has been unapologetically clear that Donald Trump's political interest is first and foremost his primary interest, and he's not looking to to put together a campaign that's going to be about serving the American people. But
Kate, so even if that were all that being true, let me just posit it. If the election were held today, Donald Trump would win more than 300 electoral votes.
Well, we don't actually know that. We know that the polling
polls. CNN is the Clinton News Network.
Suggests that he would win Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada.
We know that polling shows it's going to be a very close race. I'm not sure that bringing somebody back into the fold who has contributed to putting Russia's interests ahead of the United States is really the winning message that the Trump campaign wants to be putting out there.
Just quickly, let's just go to the polls that have already been cast. If the people were tired of Donald Trump, he wouldn't have won election after election after election.
The primaries.
In the Republican primaries.
Well, the Republican base is clearly not tired of Donald Trump. I certainly wouldn't.
I think we could watch Benny
absolutely
Johnson
not tired of Donald Trump.
You're
I do not dispute
Both
that.
of you stick around. I got more questions for you.
Let's look it up. Here we go. So, did you guys see this crazy stuff? So the migrants rushed the border, right? I haven't watched like all the videos. I just seen like different things. Look at this. There's all this barbed wire and stuff around. Well, tell these people to go home. What? These are, look at these grown, like, go home, bro. Go home. We have enough people in this country. We have enough problems in this country. Go home. Fuck you yelling at. I'd be like, bitch, what are you yelling at me for? Go home. Dude, this is crazy. Yeah. I figure I'll just watch like the raw actual video and give my reaction. I don't know. So, well, I'm not sure if I could watch their videos or not, like live, and I don't know how that works with like videos like that. But I know I can watch stuff like this live, because this is basically the news. Bro, this is crazy that like... Why are there so many people there? I don't get it. Like, where are you taking them? Here's another one.
A federal appeals court late Tuesday issuing an order that again prevents Texas from arresting migrants suspected of entering the U.S. illegally hours after the Supreme Court did allow that strict new immigration law to take effect. Now, we did hear from Nate Foy with Fox News just a bit earlier as he did fill in kind of the details of where everything stands, but...
Bro, go home. Put sharks in the water. I don't care. Go home.
I do want to bring in Texas.
Damn, bro, stop blaming us for you guys putting your kids in danger. Go home.
State Senator Paul Betancourt, a Republican who helped to co-author Senate
This
Bill
is
4,
sad.
joining us now live. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Good morning. It's an important topic.
For sure. Well, first off, can you explain to me, for folks who have been following this and kind of getting some bits and pieces, I would say, can you explain what Senate Bill 4 really is and what it looks to accomplish?
Well, what Senate Bill 4 is basically Texas stepping into the role of the federal government. What happens
It's sad, but if it's necessary, it's necessary. I tell the feds to get out of there.
in this situation is really quite simple. When you look at the Constitution, there's kind of an archaic clause that basically says if the federal government won't do its job, or AKA effectively an invasion or a language similar to that, that a state can. Well, we've looked at what's happening here on the border, and we're not going to sit back and do nothing about human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, you name it, organized crime. We've got everything coming across the border because the Biden administration refuses to do their job. So Texas, we passed first time ever crossing the border illegally statute, which allows us to actually, between points of entry, arrest people and deport them.
Like, why? I don't understand why it had to get to this, bro. Finish putting up the wall. Make it to where people cannot get over or go under it. It's not hard. This isn't rocket science. I swear, bro. Like, we should have had a wall 50 years ago. This is crazy.
Which is what the federal government should be doing, but they walked off the job.
What is one major misconception you think people have about Senate Bill 4 as you see all of these reports that are circulating? You have folks on social media that are sharing their own, I guess, interpretations of the bill. What is the biggest misconception in your mind?
Well, the problem is whenever you pass legislation like this, inevitably somebody will play the race card and say this is all about race. Well, sorry to the
So many different people coming over.
leftist progressives out there. This is about the fact that we've had millions and millions of people enter the country under the Biden administration in the last few years, to the point where we're looking at somewhere between 7, 8, 9 million illegal crossers that have come into the country, and we're going to try to do something about it. It's not about race. We've had every country in the globe have someone cross the border in the last few years. And more importantly, this is designed to do what the federal government is not doing. The Biden administration basically, even though the president calls them illegals, he does nothing about it. We still don't have a stay-at-home Mexico policy. We don't.
No, he called them illegals and then apologized for calling them illegal.
Have the border closed. There is still catch and release going on. And these are things that the federal government could change their mind at a snap of the finger and stop, and they don't. So that's really what Senate Bill 4 is about. We're saying we've had enough, and we're not challenging the federal government to the point that we're saying somehow the state of Texas is more supreme than they are. We're not challenging the supremacy clause. We're saying, look, if you don't do your job, the state of Texas will step up and do it for you, because the citizens of the state and of the nation have to have somebody effectively looking out for their interests in this battle, not the other way around.
Like, why doesn't it make sense to tell people to come here legally? Like, literally the first time you come here to this country you want to live in, you're breaking the law, literally, as soon as you get here, regardless of whether you want to believe it or not. So why not just tell people, like, we don't mind you coming here, you have to come here the right way, and we can only take so much at one time, which is why we have a system. We shouldn't be taking all these illegals. It is ridiculous. I'm almost down at this point, David.
As far as the back and forth that has now gone on between the Supreme Court, the appeals court, does any of that surprise you that this has happened?
No, because this is a pretty complicated issue from the standpoint of
David. That's well. Hey, I like it. Can we get a bill going? You could be my my vice president or congressman or something. I got you. Yep. That's going to be a bill. We're going to be like, okay, for every illegal immigrant that comes across the border, we send a Democrat to where they're from. And that's just what it is.
they do something when the federal government walks off the job. Because the Biden administration, they claim they're building a border wall. They're not. They could stop, catch, and release. They're not. You have the president himself saying,
that.
The Congress would just pass a law, then he could somehow stop the crisis at the border. Well, none of that is true. And so we're tired of waiting because it's our budgets and our cities and towns that are seeing.
Because at this point, David, what's worse for our country, a liberal or a fucking terrorist? Like, there's no difference.
Very high crime wave, and just fentanyl alone, just one drug that's coming through the border has disastrous consequences for the rest of the country. And so the Texas legislature, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Governor Abbott, everyone has all come together on this issue to say we'll challenge this. Of this horrid practice of the Biden administration, because there's actually a portion of the U.S. Constitution that allows us to do it.
And my last question for you here, where do you think immigration and the border rank for voters in November, the voters who will head to the polls?
Oh, it's consistently number one or worse, number two. And that's because it affects everyone. It's not just the border states anymore. Once Texas started busing people effectively to what were supposed sanctuary cities, and now we have the cries for.
Let me ask you guys something. Why wasn't Texas allowed to just bust them deep into Mexico? You know what I mean? You're just leaving them somewhere anyway. We should be talking with the Mexican government and say, hey, these people are coming across your border as well. We're going to get them halfway for you. You're going to take them the other half to where they're going. And we're just going to keep that little chain going until all these people go back to where they're from. Because I understand times are tough. But boy, you got to get through them tough times. You don't just run from everything. These people aren't all political prisoners. That's the whole thing. These people just have tough lives, which I get it, bro. It is a common characteristic of a lot of people in life. But that doesn't mean you just get to go anywhere and do what you want. It's just not how life works.
From leftist progressive mayors, they can't handle the problem. Well, you know what? Join the Texas border.
Nothing. No, David, nothing at all, bro. Nothing, bro. Nothing. And it's sad that there are so many rhinos that side with these demon rats. It is pathetic to me, bro. I'm sorry. It is so pathetic. It's like we have nobody on our side. You know what I mean? It's like we have nobody on our side. That's why we have to just do what's right for us.
Yourself. And finally, I want to make sure everyone knows that this is not the Arizona law of 10 years ago. We looked at that law and understood that it had specific problems, which is why we crafted Senate Bill 4 to the way that it would now have 6 out of the 9 Supreme Court justices at least sending a signal that they're willing to listen to the plight of border states, specifically Texas. But really what this is about is an uncontrolled, out of control border that the Biden administration is allowed to just propagate to the point where we've got millions of illegal crossings a year. And Texas has said, we've had enough.
All right, Senator Betancourt, thank you so much for
I mean, in all honesty, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. I think we've all had enough. If everybody isn't like fed up by now within these past 4 years, I don't know what's wrong with you, bro.
Taking the time to join us today. Anything else you want to add about any of this before I let you go?
Well, I think that you ended on the right question. What does the American public think of this?
You guys, how does everything sound? Does like I just want to make sure the videos sound good with my voice and everything. Is everything cool?
And they see through the race cards that are played on issues now. They see through the demagoguery, and they're looking for actual results. And by any definition I understand, by any measurement I'm aware of, what's happening at the border is not what it should be happening, nor is it what was happening under the Trump administration. The Biden administration is responsible for it. And until they make a solution work, which they seem to be completely unable and unwilling to do, we think this bill will allow Texas to do the job of the federal government.
All right. Thank you again for taking the time to be here with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Did you guys see that they're making another Beetlejuice movie? Watch him end up being like a gay trans he him. It's gonna be crazy, bro. He'll probably, and now when he comes out, instead of like a crack, you know how like the town used to crack, like a rainbow pops out. Let's see if we can find anything else about this. Here's another one from NBC. This was a year ago. Okay, so this is 2 hours ago. So this one was 2 hours ago. Do we see this? Look at this. What? You guys, do you see this? Right? Listen, right? This is an invasion. How do you not see this? This is an invasion right here. When people are coming by the thousands or hundreds or whatever, and they're just stampeding across. Bro, this is a fucking invasion. That's crazy. Look at this. Bro, what? Oh my God, bro. Yeah. I watched the first 2 episodes of the X-Men cartoon because I grew up loving the X-Men cartoons. They're okay, but I can see what they're going to start hitting that stuff, bro. I can tell. What? This is crazy. And CNN will say this shit is fake. Oh, wow. What is going on? So can I ask you guys this, right? Why is it that at the Capitol, right, on January 6th, right? Just tell me this, right? January 6th, chick gets shot, right? We're not allowed to use firearms against people like this that are trying to invade our country? I don't get it, bro. I don't get it, bro. That doesn't make sense to me. That is crazy. I am beyond.
Whatever you do it for less.
I am just like baffled by all this stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't even think it matters about that. Honestly, David, man, I don't. It's everywhere, bro. It's gonna be everywhere. That's why, like, I try to watch things, and I'm in a mind state where I can watch and say, okay, that's stupid, but like, I won't let it necessarily ruin something for me, if that makes any sense. I don't know, man. It's crazy. I don't, man. I just, there was, yeah. You guys want to? It's 53 minutes. We're not gonna watch that right now. I love when Ducey grows beer. I love it. Dude, she's got to quit at some point, right?
So, on this border video, what does President Biden think should happen to adult men who are assaulting and overpowering U.S. National Guardsmen?
Well, let me just first say we're grateful, and I said this moments ago, to Border Patrol agents for their to quickly work and get the situation under control and apprehend the migrants. So I want to be really clear that everyone who was apprehended by Border Patrol. They were able to do their job, even though it's made it more. Even though Republican governor, in particular Governor Abbott, has made it difficult for them. They need more resources.
Why are they blaming it on the Republicans? I don't get it when they're literally, these people are coming over and thanking Biden for letting them come over. What is she talking about?
We need more personnel. I mean, we have to have the backs of our law enforcement on the ground who are dealing with this every day. But Republicans are getting in the way. Republicans in Congress do not want to help. And you have a Governor Abbott, who's politicizing it. That is what's happening. Border Patrol agents did their job.
Such a liar, bro.
Even though, the governor's getting in the way of them doing their jobs.
But I get that you guys, you talk so much about having a more humane
such a liar.
immigration system. This video does not show helpless women and children begging for a safe place to come in. It shows adult men landing haymakers on U.S. troops in uniform. If that was happening anywhere else in the world, wouldn't President Biden send reinforcements?
So two things. Everyone was apprehended by the Border Patrol agents. That is important
I don't even think she'd be good as that, David.
to know. They
Don't give her that much credit.
were apprehended.
Were they deported?
They were apprehended. I can't speak to individual cases. That's not something I can do from here. But they were all apprehended. That's number one. And the reason why you're talking about the Texas National Guard, they were there because of the governor of Texas. The governor of Texas put the Texas National Guard there. We didn't put them there. He put them there. What we need is actually real solutions. We need to see resources. The Border Patrol agents deserve resources. They deserve to be able to do their jobs. And we're not getting that from Republicans. They're rejecting the bipartisan agreement that came out of the Senate.
And last one, there is a Venezuelan migrant with 500,000 followers on TikTok who is telling border crossers they can live in empty houses in this country. Would President Biden support a law that would make that kind of squatting illegal?
I have not seen that TikTok video, so I can't comment on that. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. That's cool. So these people are allowed to all come over, right? They're allowed to come over here, infiltrate our country, come over here, and this is not, I don't care what anybody says, this is not illegal immigrants crossing the border. This is illegal immigrants invading our country. That's what this is, right? And our government's telling them to do it. I don't care what anybody says, right? So as soon as they attack one of these guards, I don't care. They should be allowed to use deadly force right then and there. Right then and there. I don't care. I'm sorry. But if Ashley Babbitt can die, these people, this is way worse than what happened on January 6th. January 6th is nothing compared to what is going on at our border right now. This is sad and pathetic is what this is. This is extremely, extremely sad right now. I'm telling you guys. And it's just going to get worse. It is just going to get worse. Let's see. I don't know. I don't even care. All right, so let's watch this, and then I'm going to get off of here. Yeah, Letitia James is going to get... These people are getting Trump reelected, and they don't even realize it. It is just so funny to me. Yeah, I believe it. All right, let's watch this.
Hundreds of...
And then I'm going to get off of here, guys.
Florida for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. It's been an interesting hearing so far. Let's actually get to the actual paper trail of money flow from the CEFC into the bank account for President Joe Biden. And I want to start with a text message, July 31, WhatsApp text message between Hunter Biden and one chairman, one Mr. Zhao. Real quick, Mr. Bobulinski, who is Mr. Zhao?
Congressman Donalds, I'd just actually like to spend 20 seconds. If you noticed, Congressman Khanna scurried out of here very quickly, and I'm actually disgusted as I sit here that he didn't address me based on the fact that I'm sitting here in front of the world trying to testify to the truth. In October 2020, I have messages I'm willing to produce to both the Democrats and the Republicans that Ro Khanna sent to me saying, you have always demonstrated to me that you're nothing but an honest with the highest integrity individual, and I was begging for him to go on CNN and tell the world in October 2020. I have extensive emails with Congressman Ro Khanna in 2021 and 2022 where I begged...
I'm surprised they haven't, Hillary Clinton this dude yet.
Him and his staff to...
Or should we say Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know.
Sit down with me and look at my BlackBerry phones that the Democrats are so focused on, to hire forensics experts and go through all of the factual information I had. So the fact that he did not even address me and then scurried out of here is disgusting to me.
All right.
Sorry, Mr. Donalds. I'll answer your question now.
All right, so we're going to have to come off of that because now we're at 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yo, he just lit him on fire. Donald's don't even care. He's like, it's cool, bro. Go ahead.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, I want to submit into the record two different WhatsApp text messages. One, July 31, between Hunter Biden and Chairman and Mr. Zhao of CEFC, which stipulates that Hunter Biden wants to be able to move on from and get the contract resolved, get the deal resolved, and that Mr. Zhao responds and says, yes, the CEFC is willing to cooperate with the family. On August 31, there's another exchange, this time August 3rd, 2017, between Hunter Biden and Mr. Ganwei Dong. And in this message, they're talking about the stipulations of the arrangement between the Biden family and CEFC. I want to submit both WhatsApp text messages for the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection to order.
Okay, now to the money flow, because this is where the rubber meets the road. On August 3rd, they actually stipulate through WhatsApp text messages the exact stipulations of the deal. On August 4th, $100,000 is wired into Owasco PC from CEFC infrastructure. Mr. Chairman, I want to submit for the record a portion of the bank statement for the time period August 3rd of 2017 to August 31, 2017, stipulating $100,000 going from CEFC into the bank account of Hunter Biden through Owasco PC.
Without objection to order.
Crazy.
On August 8th, 4 days later, $5 million is then transferred from the Northern International Capital account of $5 million to Hudson West III. Hudson West III is a bank account controlled by Hunter Biden and Mr. Gong Wang, a.k.a. Kevin Dong, who was a CEFC associate. That money comes from the Northern International Capital bank account that is tied to the CCP. Mr. Chairman, I want to submit for the record the bank statement demonstrating that transfer.
Without objection to order.
Okay, moving on.
Think about it.
On August 8th, the same time period, there is a wire transfer.
Think about if all this is true. That's crazy.
Transfer of $400,000 to Owasco PC from the Hudson West III bank account. That $400,000, Mr. Chairman, I have the transfer records in the bank accounts from the August time period. I want to submit that for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Now, here's where the fun stuff comes in, everybody, and I got a minute to do it, so we're going to get this done. On August 14, there is $150,000 that is transferred from Owasco PC, which is controlled by Hunter Biden, to Lion Hall Group, which is controlled by James Biden. I have the records here, Mr. Chairman, of the $150,000 that has gone to Lion Hall Group from Owasco PC. I want to submit that for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
On August 28th, and I believe we have a screenshot for everybody in the room. On August 28th, Mr. Chairman, we have the withdrawal ticket from Lion Hall Group that is signed by Sarah Biden, who is the wife of Jim Biden, for $50,000 to.
So I seen this earlier. This is crazy, right? Like, if this is not real, they got into detail on this stuff.
Withdraw from Lion Hall Group. I want to submit that withdrawal receipt for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
On September 3rd, on August 28th, actually, Mr. Chairman, we have the deposit reference into Sarah Jones Biden's account on the same day she withdrew it from Lion Hall. I want to submit that.
Without objection, so ordered.
Last document. On September 3rd, 2007, from Sarah Biden's own personal account, there is a check that is written to Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr., the President of the United States today.
Things are a lot tougher for a lot of the normal people, though, you know. I don't know if you go to the grocery store ever or not or worry about things like that, but that's good, bro. I'm glad.
For $40,000 signed loan repayment. A loan repayment, by the way, that Joe Biden's own personal accountant, Mr. Eric Schwerin, has no record for. I want to submit that for the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, so ordered.
To the members of the committee, it is clear that the source of this money came from CEFC, and that CEFC is a company that is directly linked to the CCP and actually the chairman of the CCP, the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party, Chairman Xi Jinping. With that, I yield.
Very good.
Everybody knows these people are just willing to sell out their country for nothing. It's all pathetic at this point. It is what it is. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and hanging out with me tonight. We're going to end it on that note. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.